Hi, this is Big Guy DIY Robert. Next project I have to fix is my door here to my wood stove. Let's take a look what we got going here. I burn between 5 to 7 cords a season. It all depends on the winter. So you can almost say my stove's running 5 to 6 months out of the year. And one thing that, you know, after 2 years, the rope seal around the door begins to become compressed. And so what happens is when this door is closed, I have leaks going in here. So instead of the air coming in through the bottom of the stove, where I can control the airflow, it's leaking in through the top here. And one way to see it is when this door is shut, I could see into the wood stove through like this corner here and sometimes through the side. So it's time to take it off. So I'm going to show you how this is done. I've already bought the product. This is 3/4 inch rope designed for wood stove doors. I bought 6 feet. I know this is not 6 feet, but I bought extra because there's a little thing I've done it. Well, I bought extra just in case I make a mistake. You never know when you put these things in. To cement, we're using stove gasket cement. Okay, and I bought 2 tubes. I probably won't use 2 tubes, not sure. And then the other thing I'm going to replace is this nut. This is my stove, I think is, was it 15 years old now? This is the original nut and washer, and it's kind of done. So I went through my inventory and we're going to install a new nut and washer. Hopefully it'll stay on because the old one kept coming loose. Alright, so for wood stoves, for those who are new to using wood stoves, it's okay if the glass gets dirty. It doesn't matter. The different temperatures of the stove will either clear the glass of its creosote, or if you're doing a lot of low burning, which I tend to do, you're going to get the creosote build up, but eventually that burns off. Okay, so let me show you how to remove this. Alright, when these are put on, when this rope is put on, one thing you want to do is when the two ends come together, they need to meet at a corner by the hinge. Okay, you don't want these two to come together here or here. You want it to come to here just because this will always go tight against the body of the stove, but this here over time begins to lose its tightness. So always have your two ends come together at one corner. So this is where I started mine. Now, there's one trick I'm going to show you here. I think I got an old pipe. Let's say your wood stove, the pipe that comes into your wood stove where your smoke exits, this attaches to the top of the wood stove. That means that more than likely you have to add this cement around the whole connection between your pipe, which will be running up into your flue in your wood stove. What I do before is I'd have to replace that putty. That's what it is. It's a wood stove putty, like every year or two, because it would crack and then start leaking. I found you put the putty on, you take your old wood stove rope, press it into the putty, and wrap it around your pipe like so, and then put more putty over this, okay? And then when you redo your wood stove again, or your door again, take the old rope and wrap it around again. And again, adding more putty to it. So it's going to look like a large, like, beehive, but this will never crack with the putty for years. You won't have to replace it because the putty impregnates into this rope, and it makes it very solid, and you're not going to have any seal or any gaskets or cracks or anything between your connection of your wood stove pipe and your wood stove. And that's only for a top mount. For a back mount, I can't speak for it because I've never worked with it, but that's one use you can use for the old rope, and it works out great. I don't need this, so I'm going to throw this away. Back to this. Now, you can do one of two things. You can see that on here is the texture from the rope of the putty being installed. Okay? I'm not going to replace this. I'm not going to take this out. I'm actually going to leave this texture in here because the new rope will get, what's the word I'm looking for, kind of hooked in there, and it'll hold it in place. Only thing I'll do is places where I have it higher than the frame itself, like here, I'm going to scrape that off, and I just use a wood chisel. I know it's meant for wood, but you can always sharpen these things. If you wanted to replace this old stove gasket cement, you still can use a wood chisel, and what you do is you push it in away from you and it'll break off. I'm doing it here because this is the corner where the two ends will meet. put this on, you don't want to pull the rope and stretch it. You want to push it against itself to make it thick. That's one reason why I grabbed 6 feet, because I'm not stretching the rope, I'm pushing it against itself. What I'm trying to do is create this to be higher than this frame and the outside of the frame. So these two areas here. So here's an example. If I stretch it, you can see how long, but if I push together, you see how it shortens up quite a bit. All right, to cut this stuff, use scissors, and use a good pair of sharp scissors. A knife won't do it. A razor blade, yeah, that could do it, but as you pull across it, it's going to pull the threads. So I just use good scissors, and I trim off the end here. That's going to be a button up against the other end. The top of these are sealed, so you don't need a little, you want to use a lot. And let's squeeze it on. Hard. Oh man. rope down. I'm pushing the rope to make it thicker. So when I do put this back on the wood stove, it's going to be a really tight fit, meaning the door may not even want to shut. So that's fine. Only part you might stretch it a little is just by this latch. Now, when you have installed the rope gasket, you want to install the door right back onto the wood stove. So you want to put this right onto the wood stove immediately and let it dry with the door shut on the wood stove. Don't let it sit on your bench like this and dry, because there's no pressure against the cement that you've just applied. All right, so I'm gonna go put this on my door or on my stove. Be back in a second. Okay, now I've rehung the door. Like I said, it's gonna be tight, but that's fine. Close it, let it sit like that. Don't start a fire in this. Let it give it time for about 24 hours for the cement to dry on the door, and then you can go back to building a fire. So that's a real quick, easy one. How to do a forgot what I was going to say. How to do a new seal on a wood stove. All right, on the door. It's pretty easy. The cement that you use is quite thick. If you can't squeeze it out, use a clamp or vice grips or something to get it out. All right. If you want to leave any comments or have any questions, leave them down below. Otherwise, give me a thumbs up. Thank you. This is Big Guy DIY signing out. See ya.